a hidden network of desert monasteries once shaped early Egyptian Christianity, and most scholars overlook them entirely. From caves to sprawling cloisters, these forgotten complexes hold clues to a faith forged in isolation. Stay until the final entry, where the most remote site defies every expectation. Hidden among the limestone cliffs of the eastern desert, Deir Abu Sa'id was founded in the late 4th century by a band of hermits seeking solitude from the bustling Nile towns. Over time, the community grew into a modest complex of cell-like chambers, a central chapel, and a water reservoir carved directly into the rock. Archaeologists have uncovered fragments of Coptic frescoes that depict biblical scenes in a uniquely austere style, suggesting the monks emphasized internal contemplation over lavish decoration. The site was abandoned during the 7th century Arab conquest, yet its walls remained remarkably intact, preserving a cache of parchment codices that reveal early liturgical practices. Modern scholars believe the monastery served as a waypoint for pilgrims traveling between Alexandria and the remote monasteries of the Sahara, linking isolated faith communities across vast distances.
Remarkably, the monastery of St. Matthew, perched on a rocky outcrop overlooking the Red Sea, was established around 350 AD, making it one of the earliest coastal monastic foundations in Egypt. Unlike inland hermitages, this community relied on fishing as a supplemental sustenance, integrating maritime life with ascetic devotion. Excavations have revealed a series of interconnected chapels, each adorned with simple painted crosses, and a series of underground cisterns that captured rainwater during the rare coastal storms. Researchers suggest the monastery functioned as a refuge for monks escaping periodic raids, offering both isolation and a strategic lookout over the sea routes. By the 9th century, the site fell into disuse as trade patterns shifted, but recent satellite imaging has uncovered the faint outlines of its once extensive walls, hinting at a larger complex than previously thought.
Few people know that Khirbet al Masriya, nestled deep within the Nubian desert, hosted a thriving monastic community from the 5th to the 12th centuries. The settlement featured a cruciform church built from sun-baked bricks, surrounded by a network of mud brick cells arranged in concentric circles. The monks here developed a distinctive liturgical chant, preserved in fragments of parchment discovered in a sealed vault in 2019. These chants blend Egyptian and Nubian musical motifs, indicating a cultural exchange rarely documented in early Christian sources. The monastery's strategic location near an ancient caravan route also allowed it to serve as a waypoint for traders, providing spiritual counsel and hospitality. Though desert encroachment eventually buried much of the complex, recent ground-penetrating radar surveys have mapped a series of subterranean tunnels that may have been used for secret gatherings during periods of persecution.
Deep beneath the towering cliffs of Upper Egypt, the Nubian monastery of St. Simeon was carved directly into the basaltic rock during the late 4th century. Its founders, a group of desert fathers, excavated a series of chambers, each serving a specific purpose: a refectory, a scriptorium, and a crypt where the saints' relics were interred. The scriptorium yielded a collection of vellum manuscripts containing early Coptic translations of the Psalms, suggesting the monks played a pivotal role in preserving biblical texts for the surrounding region. According to researchers, the monastery's isolation made it a safe haven during the iconoclastic controversies of the 8th century, allowing monks to continue producing illuminated manuscripts hidden from imperial edicts. The site was rediscovered in the 1970s when a Bedouin shepherd uncovered a hidden doorway, prompting a series of international excavations that continue to this day.
Unexpectedly, the monastery of St. George at Qena rose beside a small oasis that once fed a bustling agricultural settlement along the Nile's southern bank. Founded in the early 5th century, the complex combined traditional stone basilicas with mud brick living quarters, reflecting a blend of Egyptian and Byzantine architectural influences. The monks cultivated date palms and barley, creating a self-sustaining economy that supported both the monastic community and nearby villagers. Excavated mosaics depict scenes of St. George slaying a dragon, but scholars note the dragon motif may symbolize the spiritual battle against pagan practices still prevalent in the region at the time. The monastery thrived until the 10th century, when shifting river courses caused the oasis to dry up, leading to its eventual abandonment.
Strikingly, the cave church of St. Theodora was hewn from a solitary limestone cavern near the modern town of Al-Baida, providing a natural sanctuary for a community of women monastics in the 6th century. The interior walls are adorned with delicate frescoes portraying the Virgin Mary and Saint Theodora, rendered in a palette of muted earth tones that emphasize humility over opulence. The monks, known as the Theodorites, followed a strict ascetic regimen that included prolonged periods of silence and fasting, practices documented in a set of tablets discovered in a nearby burial pit. These tablets reveal a unique liturgical calendar that incorporated local agricultural festivals, suggesting an integration of Christian worship with indigenous customs. The cave remained in use until the early Islamic period, after which it was sealed and largely forgotten until explorers uncovered it in the 1990s.
According to researchers, the hidden monastery of St. Pishoy was situated on the edge of the ancient Lake Moeris, now the fertile Faiyum oasis, providing monks with abundant water and fertile soil for gardening. Established around 380 AD, the monastery featured a series of vaulted chapels interconnected by narrow corridors, each designed to minimize exposure to the harsh desert winds. The community is credited with developing an early form of irrigation that diverted lake water to their gardens, a technique that later influenced regional agricultural practices. A collection of clay tablets uncovered on site details the monks' daily schedule, which balanced prayer, scriptural study, and manual labor in the fields. The monastery fell into decline after the lake receded in the 9th century, leaving the structures partially submerged and preserving them from later stone quarrying activities.
Deep in the heart of the Libyan desert, the desert hermitage of Saint Bishoy emerged in the 5th century as a solitary refuge for a lone ascetic who sought complete isolation from worldly distractions. Over time, a small cluster of stone cells formed around his original cave, creating a micro-monastery that never exceeded a handful of occupants. The hermitage's most notable feature is a series of engraved prayer stones that bear simple, angular Coptic inscriptions, offering rare insight into early monastic spirituality. Scholars believe the hermitage served as a pilgrimage waypoint for later desert travelers, who left small offerings at the stone altar. Though the site was abandoned during the 12th century climatic downturn, recent drone surveys have captured the faint outlines of the original enclosure, sparking renewed interest in the region's monastic heritage.
Few people realize that the Monastery of the Holy Virgin at Wadi Natrun, while better known today, originally consisted of a series of modest wooden structures built in the 4th century before being replaced with stone in the 7th century. The early complex featured a central courtyard surrounded by simple cells and a modest chapel dedicated to the Virgin Mary, reflecting the community's emphasis on humility. Excavations have uncovered a cache of wooden liturgical objects, including a rare wooden censer, indicating that early Coptic worship incorporated locally sourced materials. Over centuries, the monastery expanded, eventually becoming a major center for theological debate during the Council of Chalcedon. Today, the surviving stone arches and frescoes provide a tangible link to its humble origins.
Mystically, the monastery of Saint Macarius the Lower, perched on the cliffs of the eastern desert, survived multiple waves of destruction thanks to its strategic position overlooking trade routes between Alexandria and the interior. Founded in the early 4th century, the lower complex complemented the more famous upper monastery, offering a quieter space for monks devoted to agricultural work. The site's extensive granaries, still partially intact, reveal sophisticated storage techniques that allowed the community to endure prolonged droughts. Recent pigment analysis of wall painting suggests the monks employed a unique blend of locally sourced ochre and imported lapis lazuli, indicating trade connections that reached as far as the Levant. Though the monastery was largely deserted by the 14th century, its ruins continue to attract scholars eager to understand the daily life of early Egyptian monastics.
We've journeyed through 10 silent sanctuaries, each a testament to the perseverance and spiritual fervor of Egypt's earliest monks. These forgotten monastic complexes not only broaden our understanding of early Christian practices but also preserve art, architecture, and manuscripts that might otherwise have vanished. If you found these revelations as fascinating as I did, subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into history's hidden corners, new mind-blowing lists every week. Let me know in the comments which monastery surprised you most, and please give this video a like to support the channel.